Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April meeting of the Town of Milton Planning Board. Mr. Whittle, would you please lead us in a pledge to flag?
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the only announcement I have this evening is in relationship to the Comprehensive Planning Committee, and they continue to meet on the first Tuesday of each month. The committee met on April 1st, and they completed their draft work on the vision and objectives. They're planning to meet again, I believe, on May 6th, and conducting a public engagement event sometime in the second or third week of May, which will be the last really big public engagement event that we do outside of going to the town board. That will be a different matter then. But now's the time to really step in and be heard. This next meeting will be presenting a lot of the inventory analysis, what's the basis for it, the objectives and goals that'll be out there, and then a push to get the draft plan completed by the end of May. So if you want to get engaged, now is the time. Go to the website, come to the meeting on May 6th and look for that. We didn't set the date, Barb, did we, for the public? Oh, it is the 21st now? Okay, May 21st at Rock City Falls Firehouse. So that's going to be a good time for the public to see what they have there. Okay, without that, our first order of business is approval of our March meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the planning board meeting minutes from March 12th, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Do we have a second? Is there any discussion or changes to the minutes as presented? There being no changes, please poll the board.
Mr. Marsicano?
Yes.
Padula?
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Yes.
Chairman Barto?
Yes. Okay, at this point, we'll open the meeting for public comment. Please note that we do have a public hearing this evening for special use permits related to the McDonald's restaurant and drive-through at 10 Trieble Avenue. So if you have comments on this project, please wait till we commence the hearing. Your comments can be on the record. But we also have virtual and in-person opportunities for comments. So I'd ask if you're Zooming and want to make a public comment, please use the hand wave feature. And also that if you limit your comments to 3 minutes and avoid redundant comments. And if you have written comments, please summarize them and leave a copy of those with us. So open the public comment period at 7:03 p.m. Anybody choose to address the board at this time? Is there anybody online?
No hands.
Okay, last time. Okay, I will close the public comment period at 7:04 p.m. Okay, this evening we continue our review of the McDonald's fast food restaurant at 10 Trieble Avenue. We've been reviewing this project for some time now and have a final site plan before us. We'll also be conducting a public hearing for the issuance of 2 special use permits, a fast food restaurant and a drive-through. Mr. Wilson, do you have any updates for us at this point?
Yes, good evening. I think the only issue, I'm sure staff will bring up to speed on the review comments, but last we left off with some discussion about signage and
Yep.
lighting formats and that kind of thing. So, I guess what McDonald's is suggesting is, for the wall signs, if, the board could approve an option that they would be either, halo lit or downlit, which seemed to be consistent. As I look, I think one of your most recent approvals was the Napa. So that, I think, the way I wrote on the plans here, when we submitted to the town, we mentioned gooseneck. I don't think that's the right terminology I want to use, as opposed to downlit or halo lit would be
Halo, okay.
McDonald's options. That would be for the wall signs and the directionals. And we talked a bit last time about the monument sign, which we're proposing would be under 40 square feet dimensionally, which is what the code allows. But for this one, if it's possible to be, I guess the best terminology I can use is partially internally lit, where McDonald's would not fully light the panel. The only thing that would be lit essentially would be the arch, internally lit. Now, the town has some concerns about, dark skyness and keeping light levels low. But that, I guess that was the only thing I'd ask, is if we could have the arch, just the arch lit from the inside.
And how many, and where are the monument signs? Can you just point them
Only
out?
wonder,
Right on the corner.
Yeah. Other than that, that's the site plans are the same. We addressed staff comments, I believe, on some technical details related to the engineering drawings, but other than that, the site plan remains as you last saw it.
Okay. Does the board have any comments, particularly on the signage at this point? We'll wait until we get comment to finalize any decision on that. With that, Ms. Maruso, do you have any comments for us?
Sure. Good evening. So as Mr. Wilson had indicated, he's received my comments. They are definitely technical in nature and just wanting us to be able to clarify how our signage allowance is calculated. So some of our sign code is dictated by like a ratio, right? Sign area per certain amount of wall space. So we just wanted a little bit more in terms of the details about how those are calculated. Just provided those references. And again, just to prompt the planning board to establish and make sure that we, one way or another, determine what the appropriate lighting mechanism is for this, just as a matter of the site plan detail. Everything else has been addressed and fully met.
Okay. Ms. Biancani, I know you had a memo too.
Our comments were primarily stormwater comments, and all of those have been addressed. So one thing I guess I would ask is, does the board know what a halo lit sign is?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that at some
Yeah, I
point.
think, could you?
Certainly. So, I'm trying to think if there's one in town that I've seen that's lit like that. So halo lit is essentially the sign. This would be offset from the side of the building, say like 6 inches. And then there would be lighting behind it, and it would kind of just spill from the sides of it. Basically, kind of gives this halo effect around the sign. That's why they call it halo light.
So it's not backlit like it would be a glowing sign.
No, it's not
Lettering.
lit by all the sign. The sign is not lit. It's just, there's the wash from the lighting comes from behind it. That's halo.
Okay.
Sign materials are opaque.
That's right. Yeah, not trying.
So you can't see through it.
That's right.
It's like you're seeing the shadow.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
using the negative space.
Does that meet a dark sky type of standard?
So part of the site plan review that we provided was looking at the lighting schedule and assuming that you were using the same, intensity of lighting, be it halo lit or kind of the maximum extent that you could do. And we're providing information that we know we're not dealing with tremendous amount of light spillage outside of the property line. I'm comfortable with it. I'd be far more concerned about not having down-mounted parking lot lighting and pedestrian lighting. That's the more critical aspect of dark sky lighting standards, I believe, just because of the upward spillage that has a much higher impact on a neighborhood than, say, a ground-mounted sign. Even if there was an uplight on the monument sign, I don't think that would be anything in terms of the impact we would have if we didn't have full cutoff signage for parking lot and pedestrians. So I'm not looking at this as, I'm not anticipating a really significant impact from a
Okay.
dark sky standard perspective.
Okay.
That's Mary Beth.
I guess my, excuse me, my other question is, how will the arches be lit on the monument sign? I mean, it still sounds to me like an internally illuminated sign.
It would, I guess it would be internally lit, which as I understand the code allows, but the board certainly has a preference for not doing. So it's trying to split the difference here. So normally, a McDonald's sign like the monument sign, it would just be fully backlit and both the red field of the sign, the parts of the panel and the arch would be fully lit up. So I guess I was trying to develop a compromise, so the red panel would be opaque, wouldn't be transparent at all. So the only lighting you essentially see would be the arch itself. So
Does that help?
That helps clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I understood that. Any other comments from you two? Okay, I guess at this point, we will open the public hearing for the special use permits for 1, a fast food restaurant, and 2, a drive-through window for the McDonald's restaurant at 10 Trieble Avenue. Once again, we continue to have both virtual and in-person opportunities for comments. So if you're Zooming, please use the hand wave feature so we can recognize you. Again, limit your comments to 3 minutes, and if you have written comments, please summarize them. I'll open the public hearing at 7:11 PM. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on this application at this time? Is there anybody hand waving us?
No hands.
Okay. Last call for public comment. Okay, there being no further public comment, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing at 7:12 PM.
I also move.
Frey. A second,
I'll second.
Whittle. Any further discussion? There being none, please poll the board.
Mr. Marsicano?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Mandanza?
Yes.
Mr. Whittle?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Ms. Yelenick?
Yes.
Chairman Barto?
Yes. Does the board have any comments or questions at this point, particularly in relation to the signs or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I actually do like your offer of just having the M on the monument sign lit up rather than the whole thing. I think that does kind of fit a little better with downtown. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I do like the halo lighting for the sign, but I think either option are fine.
Anybody else from the board? John?
No, I appreciate your efforts in working through this project with us. I know we've come in a couple of different directions and we've kind of worked through that. So I appreciate your willingness to review and do a couple of options. Thank you.
thank you. And yeah, thank you for the feedback and, working with us and getting the right option for this.
Okay, so the board does have before them a resolution to consider for this evening. We have reviewed the project with respect to the criteria for site plan review pursuant to the standards of the town code, section 18053, subsections A through N. Does the board have any changes or questions about where we stand on those standards, particularly in the resolution as presented? What do I do with the resolution? No questions there? Okay. All right. The board has also considered the public health and safety and general welfare of the surrounding neighborhood for the standards of the special use permits related to the fast food restaurant and drive-through pursuant to code section 18041, subsections A through K. Do you have any further questions or clarifications on that? They're not. I would just note that council has made one clarifying change. I think you should have had it in your most recent issuance of the resolution that he handed out this evening, just referencing the town center standards under 18039.4. But other than that, it's the same resolution that you received earlier. So having duly considered all the applicable criteria for the site plan dated March 26, 2025, and the application for special use permits dated May 29th, 2024, I'll entertain a motion to approve the site plan and special use permits for a fast food restaurant and drive-through, subject to the following condition for special use permit. And one condition being to please settle up any outstanding balances on escrow accounts that are there prior to the issuance of a building permit. So with that, we have a motion.
Does the motion though reflect what we're agreeing to on the lighting? Do we?
We
add
could,
something in there?
we could add that. I mean, I think if it's on the plan, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so then the second condition would be the lighting.
wall and directional signs have the option of being either halo or downlit. And monument sign, the internal lighting is limited to the arch.
Okay,
Thank you.
does everybody understand those conditions? Okay, with that, I will take a motion to approve it subject to those two conditions.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? There being no discussion, please poll the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
yes. Ms. Van Danza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Yelenick. Yes. Chairman Barto.
Yes. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much. We're out the bid, so we will be starting construction post haste.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all the help.
You have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Next, we have the continued review of a site plan for a bar at 410 Geyser Road. If you recall, we last saw this project in February, and the applicant was going to revisit their application with the town planning consultant. Is the applicant or their representative here this evening? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jason Dell, engineer with Lansing Engineering, here on behalf of the applicant for the 410 Geyser Road site plan and special use permit. As you indicated, we're back before the board this evening to update the board and request that the board schedule a public hearing for the special use permit. Just as a quick overview, for the site is located at 410 Geyser Road. The site encompasses about 1.8 acres and is zoned as part of the TC Town Center District. So the project proposes the conversion of the single-family home into a bar. It's about 768 square feet of internal space with a 638 square foot patio. Amenities that will be constructed as part of the project in the rear of the building would be two volleyball courts, an outdoor game area, pergola, picnic tables, and a detached restroom area. The access will be from the existing access that will be improved onto Geyser Road. It will extend back into the property, into the parking lot, where the applicant intends the construction of about 28 parking stalls, which is in accordance with the code. The project will connect to water on Geyser, and there will be a new septic system constructed as part of the project. So the plan is in compliance with the town center district requirements. There's no variance or waivers needed. So since the last meeting, we have addressed planning's comments. We just recently received additional technical comments earlier this week that we will address. A couple of updates of note to make from the revisions made per planning comments. Those additional landscaping added at the front access way to the Geyser Road. Additionally, we reduced the number of lights in the rear of the property down to 4 lights. That provides minimal spillage around the property. And we've also increased the access radius to provide a more smoother transition to the back in the rear of the property. So we're here this evening to answer any additional questions you folks may have and to request that you schedule a public hearing for the special use permit.
Before we go any further, I did just want to clarify that it isn't a special use permit because a bar is permitted as of right in this district. So it's just potentially a hearing on a site plan review. That's okay. That's okay. Just,
I repeated the.
that's okay. That's okay. I just wanted to be clear. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. So with that, Ms. Marusa, do you have any other comments?
Be careful. Thank you, Jason. As Jason indicated, there have been some modifications to the site plan that I think were directed based on, concerns with the site as well as trying to begin addressing the compatibility of this particular site with both the commercial and adjacent residential uses that are in the neighborhood. The prompt that I have here that I think would be helpful, and again, I think this is more at the request of probably more of the engineer, but we would love to see that there is an adequate turning radius for fire apparatus with that increased transition area. And that would be something that, I think if we could see that that was demonstrated, that the widening of the access provided adequate, again, access for the emergency personnel, I think that that would ameliorate the concerns of the building department. So they just want to make sure that apparatus can get in safely, respond to whoever's there, and make sure it's good. So that's something we'd like to request and to see. We would also just encourage the board as you continue your review and discussion of the project to consider the landscaping details for the project. As the applicant indicated, screening was provided for the access. In this case, it's just a prompt for us to be thinking about any particular impacts to adjacent residential uses. Again, not necessarily something you need to dig into tonight, but something to just identify that you will have to address in some capacity or another, and something to be thinking about. The applicant's also provided a drainage plan, and Delaware's begun a review of some of the septic comments, I believe, for wastewater management. We did receive county referral response to this, and they indicated that there was no significant countywide or inter-community impact identified.
Ms. Bianconi, you had some comments too.
Yeah, these are primarily because Sophia covered the access way. So these are mostly regarding the septic system. So just a few notes. The calculations for design flow appear reasonable, if anything, conservative, right? So it's a pretty significant volume that they're anticipating. I don't think we're going to even see that, but it's always better to be generous. Test pits weren't conducted here, and I know, we're kind of all familiar with the soils, but related to sort of the next comment, which is that the leach field is proposed to be located underneath the outdoor game areas, including the volleyball court. And I'm just not clear, given the detail for the trenches and the depth and potential depth to groundwater and depth to, boundary conditions, does that all work? Like for the, are you going to excavate down for the volleyball pits so that you have a fair layer of sand so that people don't get hurt and it drains in a rainstorm? So I think we need to see some more information about how there won't be a conflict between sort of the bottom of the surface of those playing areas and the top of the leach field, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. And then kind of down to, whatever the bottom depth of the leach field would be. So that's kind of, I think, the practices that are proposed are fine. I just think we needed a little additional information. One question, and I may have missed it, but the existing home, I'm assuming there was a septic system with a leach field there to start with. And I don't know what the plan is. Is that going to be, we need some notes about is that going to be demolished, removed, and or is the house going to get connected to the leach field that's going to be for the outside bathrooms, or that's just a little unclear on the plans?
The existing leach field is in the back corner over here. So to answer your question, yes, that will be removed, and both the building and the outdoor restrooms will all be connected to the new septic system.
Yeah. So if you could just show those details, that would be great. And then my only other comment was just that the reserve area, which is 50% of the leach bed area, which is the proper calculation, it does run underneath the asphalt for the parking. That's okay. It's acceptable. But it's just, if we can, we usually like to try to avoid that because it's underneath asphalt. So
We could certainly look to shift that and move that around.
it would be, I just think it would be it's more practical to find a different spot for it if you can. And that was all the comments we had.
Is the board satisfied with what we need to proceed with reviewing this plan and potentially going to hearing?
I had a question.
Sure, go right ahead.
Is this board concerned with if finances doesn't go as planned and this project starts and then all of a sudden the project is abandoned due to finances, do we have a responsibility to address that? How do you address it?
Well, it's very challenging because we, number one, don't have the ability to regulate the business enterprise. So the financial viability of the business is really beyond our scope of consideration. It really comes down to being a code enforcement decision. If they commence construction and whatnot, they've got to end at some point that's acceptable to the code enforcement officer. It may not be complete, which would put at risk, oh, I didn't finish putting the whole septic system in, and now there may be a subsequent user. You've got a lot that's going to be theoretically vacant at that point without all the infrastructure necessary to support it. Now, if it stopped, had all the infrastructure to support it, but it didn't have the courts or maybe all the parking lot, then a final permit for the use wouldn't be issued until they met those. But that's really a code enforcement thing. I don't think we get to do anything with that.
Yeah, so really just like any other land use, if the septic system isn't completed and tested and you can't get a certificate of occupancy, period, right? So, I mean, I think there's a separation here to what the chairman is saying between sort of the infrastructure that supports the use of the site for whatever use versus sort of the operation of a business. There are a lot of businesses that open and don't succeed and close. Right. That's actually, unfortunately, pretty common, especially with small businesses. So I think the key to what the chairman's saying is this becomes a function of the building department to ensure that if, construction on something begins and it does not go all the way through to a point where a certificate of occupancy could be issued for whatever the use is going to be, then the building department wouldn't issue a CO. If the property is sold, that's part of due diligence. It's part of what would be revealed in that process that it's partially done. So, but again, you don't have the ability to regulate the operation of a business. And because there's no public infrastructure being built, there's no bonds or any of those kinds of things in the favor of the town because they're not building anything that would ultimately be dedicated to the town. No stormwater, water, sewer, parking, roads, any of that.
Thank you for
That
the
answers-
clarification.
Yep. Anybody have other comments?
Are you still planning to do your trash removal and stuff like that via the wheelable dumpsters or the rollouts? Yeah. And how big is that new apron area? I tried to find a distance. I didn't want to guess. Is that?
The apron for the septic,
No, the apron for how you expanded the driveway to get to the back.
the exact width of that.
Do you have any idea?
I believe it's about, maybe on my sheet.
Or maybe I missed it. There was written somewhere.
It's approximately 24 feet.
24 feet.
Yeah,
24?
If you look at Plan LM1,
Yep.
you're
And
going to see that the distance between essentially the building and the parking space is 24 feet. You can drop that down. You also see that they did their curve radiuses down there at the bottom. So it's about 24 feet.
24 feet radius, 25-foot radius, so about 24 feet between here and here.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments at this point? Okay, so the couple of details we're still looking for clarification would be the turning radius information and then some more on the septic and drainage, particularly relative to the courts. With that, if you can get that done in the next few weeks.
Absolutely.
Okay. So are we prepared at this point to do our seeker assessment and determination? Everybody's fine with that?
Mhm.
I'm going to read the 11 questions on the short environmental assessment form, part 2, impact assessment. And if anybody has any change to what I'm suggesting, stop me and we'll discuss it. So question 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? I'm saying no. Question 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land? I'm saying that'll be a small impact. Question 3, the proposed action will impair the character or quality of the existing community. I'm saying no. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? We don't have any CEAs, so I'm saying no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? I'm saying no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? I'm saying no. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment? I'm saying a small impact, if any, for no. Question 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Saying no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? I'm saying no. Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? I'm saying no. Will the proposed action create a hazard to the environmental resources or human health? And I'm saying no. Does anybody have any questions or changes to those? Okay, there being no changes there, I will entertain a motion for the Milton Planning Board finding that the approval of a site plan for a bar at 410 Geyser Road will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and the chair is authorized to sign a negative declaration.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Whittle, any further discussion? Being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Miss Yelenik,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Okay, the requirement for a public hearing on a site plan application is optional for the board. I'm proposing that we do, since there's some residential neighborhoods surrounding this and whatnot, just to give fair review for the public on this. So my recommendation would be that we conduct a hearing. If everybody's good with that, I would entertain a motion to schedule a public hearing for a site plan for a bar at 410 Geyser Road on May 14th, 2025 at 7:05 PM.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Any second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Miss Yelenik,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is there any other matter to be brought before the board tonight? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:34 PM. Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. We stand adjourned.